The animal kingdom. A remarkable array of living, breathing natural wonders. Majestic. Compelling. Ingenious. And extraordinary. Fascinating. Physical. Visceral. And ferocious. Discover their past, present, and future. Just stunning. Just glorious. Just amazing. Just animals. Kangaroos. Mention Australia and kangaroos immediately come to mind. Bounding across the outback, they are the essence of the great southern land. As lions are for Africa and polar bears the Arctic. For centuries, these iconic animals have been enjoying worldwide attention. Their undeniable appeal, their unique appearance. When a new creature is encountered for the first time, comparing them to other animals is the only way to begin to describe them. Explorer Amerigo Vespucci described them as having the head of a fox, human-like hands, the tail of a monkey, and a bag to carry its young. A feature noted as a wonderful provision of nature. This early attempt to conjure a vision of these unique creatures did what justice it could. A difficult task when the real thing is unlike anything encountered before. There are more species of kangaroos roaming the wilds of Australia than breeds of antelope found in southern Africa. Family members can range from the size of a large rat through to a hefty 90 kilos. As for population, 46 million. That's the most recent conservative estimate for the number of large roos in Australia. When it comes to standing out from the crowd, kangaroos do it in style, thanks to a trio of impressive features. Long hind feet, coupled with powerful back legs, plus a thick, muscular tail. A winning combination that gives these unusual creatures their equally unusual style of movement. One they are known for around the globe. Kangaroos are the only large animals that use hopping as their main form of locomotion. Their nicknames celebrate their famous bounding gait. Females are flyers, and dominant males, boomers, the sound their feet make as they pound through the bush. Roos are social animals and often gather together in groups or mobs. They're made up of an even mix of genders. Does, the females, and males known as bucks, with an alpha male in charge. Youngsters, in or out of the pouch, are known as joeys. As iconic as roos are to Australia, they are not exclusive to the Great Southern Land. Kangaroos are found on another island to the north. The tropical rainforests of New Guinea host the vast majority of tree kangaroos, 8 out of 10 species. Looking like a cross between a lemur and a kangaroo, these macropods have adapted to an arboreal way of life. On the ground, they are slow and clumsy, but in the treetops, bold and agile. One look at a kangaroo's lush coat of fur immediately places them in the class of mammals. The presence of hair or fur are not the only features that allow entry into this club. All members are vertebrates, with females possessing mammary glands, hence the name, mammals. These special glands produce milk used to feed their young. In many ways, kangaroos are no ordinary mammals. They are, in fact, marsupials, named for the pouch, or marsupium, where females carry their young. That wonderful provision of nature. While many marsupials call Australia home, they are found in other parts of Australasia, as well as the Americas. Kangaroos, however, belong to their own family, the macropod family. This term comes from the Greek, meaning long foot. The size of the macropod family is equally impressive. More than 50 species make up the clan, divided into 3 main groups. First, the kangaroos, their smaller relatives, wallabies, and tree kangaroos. Next, the potoroos and bettongs, rabbit-sized forest dwellers. Lastly, the musky rat kangaroo, the living fossil of the rainforest. Macropods have proven to be the most adaptable of creatures, not only occupying terrestrial habitats, but also making themselves comfortable above and below ground level. As a group, kangaroos have mastered their environment. Eastern and western grey kangaroos, antilopines, and reds are the big 4, sometimes called the great kangaroos. Leading the pack size-wise is the red kangaroo. These iconic Australian creatures wave the flag for the rest of their lesser-known cousins. When upright, the average red stands at 1.5 meters. Males can grow much taller, up to 2 meters. and can weigh up to 90 kilos. Reds take first prize as the largest marsupials, not only in Australia, but the world. Females are much smaller, lighter, faster, and slightly confusingly, not red. The nickname Blue Flyer is a nod to their speed and their bluey-grey fur. Both genders have pale bellies and distinctive white facial stripes that run from the corner of their mouth back to their ears. A red kangaroo's greatest asset is its tail. It acts like a fifth appendage, not only offering support, but also propulsion. Reds are found in the most arid zones of the continent, the male's rusty fur matching the rich, earthy tones of the country's interior, a zone called the Red Centre. The next best-known roo is the eastern grey, sometimes called the great grey kangaroo. As their name suggests, they have light grey fur. They are also identified by the dark-coloured tip on their tails. Compared to a red, they are not only shorter in stature, they also have smaller ears and pointier snouts. Plus, their coats are woollier. Eastern grey kangaroos live up to their name, distributed throughout the easternmost third of the country, as well as the island state of Tasmania. Eastern greys inhabit a wide variety of terrain. No strangers to the beaches and damp forests of the coastline, they are equally at home in grasslands and scrub. Plus, they are hardy enough to brave chilly alpine regions. Across the southern and western reaches of Australia, their close cousins, the slightly smaller western greys, are difficult to tell apart, especially when their ranges overlap. One sure sign to look for is the western's darker fur. Another is the unusual smell that the males emit, earning them the nickname stinkers. The similarities between the eastern and western grey had so confused biologists that these two roos have only been classed as separate species since the 1970s. Kangaroo Island, off the coast of South Australia, hosts its own subspecies of these darkly furred macropods, aptly named sooties. Far to the north, at the top end of Australia, is the last of the big four, the antilopine kangaroo, or wallaroo. Wallaroos fit between a kangaroo and a wallaby in size. Males can get up to 70 kilos, approximately twice the size of females. Hot, tropical conditions are no deterrent to the wallaroo mobs as they graze among the savanna and woodland. After the big four kangaroos, the next step down in size are the wallabies. There are approximately 44 species of these moderate-sized macropods spread throughout Australia. The distinction between a kangaroo and wallaby is basically an arbitrary one, based on smaller body size and shorter foot length. Wallabies' more compact legs give them greater agility in the forested habitats. They enjoy a wide distribution, preferring more remote and heavily timbered areas, avoiding the semi-arid plains of the interior. Rock wallabies are right at home in rugged, rocky terrain. Their modified feet giving them enough grip to help them bound in and around boulders and caves. Found primarily on several islands off Western Australia, quokkas are another variant of wallaby. About the size of a domestic cat, they have fairly short tails compared to the rest of the roo family, and can also climb short trees and shrubs for food. Quokkas are also nocturnal, feeding primarily at night. The 10 species of tree kangaroos are smaller again than the wallabies. Their bodies adapted for a very different lifestyle amongst the canopies. Native to Papua New Guinea, but listed as endangered in their natural habitat, Goodfellow's tree kangaroos are mainly observed in captive breeding programs. They have distinctive looks, with reddish-brown fur, golden faces and bellies, plus a pair of stripes running down their back. Decorating the base of each animal's tail is a unique pattern of rings. Male and female Goodfellows are similar in size, both averaging 8 kilos. The smallest of all is the Lumholtz's tree kangaroo, found in Australian tropical rainforests. Not as vibrant as the Goodfellows, they have grey coats punctuated with a dark mask of facial fur and black paws to match. Males tip the scales at about 7 kilos, with females weighing a fraction less. Back down on ground level is where the more petite macropods roam. Potoroos and bettongs average only 1 kilo. They are identified by their rat-like tails and longer snouts, and unlike kangaroos, like to live a solitary life. The forest understories and dense thickets of the east coast and Tasmania provide potoroos and bettongs with ideal environments. The rainforests of northeast Australia are the only place you will find the smallest and rarest species of macropod, the rat kangaroo. Musky rat kangaroos are the smallest and only type of rat kangaroo left in existence. Regarded as a living fossil, the reptile-like scales on their feet and tails link them to their ancestors that roamed the Australian rainforests 26 million years ago. Every living thing has its own stash of special adaptations and survival skills. Kangaroos come equipped with their own natural arsenal to help them battle it out and thrive in one of the harshest, driest environments on the planet. Keeping their cool is one thing kangaroos have mastered. While they only sweat when they're on the move, they do have another trick up their sleeves. When at rest, they can often be seen licking their forearms, the evaporating saliva cooling them down. A kangaroo lazing in the shade is actually busy. By increasing their breathing rate to 200 pants per minute, they can expel lots of body heat. As with many desert species, moisture conservation is a must. Internally, a kangaroo's digestive system extracts as much water as possible, as do their kidneys, which produce hyper-concentrated urine. During periods of drought, water isn't the only thing that dries up. Males do not produce sperm, and females will only fall pregnant if sufficient rain has fallen to ensure a decent food supply. During dry spells, pregnant does can also play their embryonic diapause card, a reproductive strategy that essentially brings the development of an embryo to a halt until conditions improve. Also, when food is scarce, kangaroos have a clever backup plan in their tails. This is where excess fat is stored, providing the animal with a vital source of energy when times are tough. As already mentioned, a kangaroo's tail is its biggest asset. It forms the third leg of a furry tripod, allowing roos to stand upright. Watch a kangaroo walk, and the importance of their thick tail is obvious. When they move in this way, it's called pental pedaling. A kangaroo's tail also plays an integral role in their famous hop. In full flight, the tail acts as a counterbalance, keeping the animal stable. At the same time, the tail's pumping motion also enhances the breathing process. Apart from being a fantastic sight, a kangaroo's hop is a marvel of energy efficiency. With each bounce, elastic potential energy is stored in their long leg tendons, making the following hops easier. Once they're on the go, it's a relatively effortless way to travel. Their long feet also contribute to this efficiency. By adding to the length of their legs, a roo's large feet give them greater leverage. When they need to go faster, they simply increase the length of their stride. They don't hop more often, they just cover a greater distance with each bound. A hopping speed of 50 kilometers an hour gives the average roo a stride length of about 6 meters. However, footprints have been seen that were 9 or more meters apart, meaning those roos were really motoring. Hopping is not only a graceful way to trek the outback, it is also more efficient. Running at the same speeds, a kangaroo uses less energy than a four-legged animal. As for the tree kangaroos, their limbs are different in design and function. To make climbing through branches possible, they have short hind legs that can move independently of each other. Their feet are shorter and wider than that of a terrestrial kangaroo. Plus, their padded soles and sharp, curved claws give them additional grip. Their tails are relatively longer, but are nowhere near as sturdy, merely offering a counterbalance to the animal as it crawls or leaps through the treetops. Kangaroos' eyes are located high up on their skulls, giving them a 324-degree field of vision. roo's eyesight is on par with the sensitivity level of horses, cattle, and rabbits. With ears that swivel independently, macropods have excellent hearing. They also have a superior sense of smell, able to detect bodies of water or rain falling up to 20 kilometers away. In terms of camouflage, macropods have got it covered. Their fur coloration helps each member of the family blend in with their surroundings, such as red kangaroos matching the earthy tones of the arid interior. Greys are also well matched to the dry grasses and washed-out colours of the Australian landscape. As for tree kangaroos, they avoid detection from above and below by exhibiting what is known as countershading. Seen from above, their dark fur hides them. Viewed from below, their pale bellies match the light streaming down through the forest canopy, thus allowing them to disappear in plain sight. To keep their fur in top condition, macropods have their own special comb. On roos, the two inner toes of the rear feet are fused together, known as syndactyly, making a double claw, which is used for grooming. A handy tool when it comes to scratching an itch or removing an annoying parasite. From top to toe, the kangaroo certainly is an impressive collection of ingenious adaptations. Kangaroos may not have been introduced to the wider world until a few centuries ago, but these macropods have a much longer history, one that stretches over millions of years. Researchers believe ancient South American marsupials made their way to Australia via Antarctica more than 80 million years ago, when the continents were all connected, making up the supercontinent of Gondwana. Today, marsupials are found all over the globe, but nowhere can compete with the diversity seen in Australia. A lack of predators seems to explain the marsupial boom enjoyed in the Great Southern Land. Fast forward to 30 million years ago, and early kangaroos finally made an appearance. Known as short-faced kangaroos, these ancient creatures were triple the size of the largest macropods seen today. As time passed and conditions changed, so did the roos. Fossil evidence shows changes in the shape of their teeth and skulls, drier conditions forcing them from a diet of soft forest leaves to tougher foliage and grasses. The anatomy of their feet changed as well, causing them to gradually swap their upright walking gait to a hop. By gradually remodeling their ankle design, kangaroos were able to actually take a great evolutionary leap forward. The trend of bounding along took another 15 million years to take hold. While short-faced kangaroos and modern species lived alongside one another, the giants disappeared about 30,000 years ago, leaving their smaller counterparts to continue the family line. Today, the closest relatives to kangaroos are their fellow marsupials, such as koalas, possums, and wombats. They are all diprotodonts, meaning two front teeth. This family trait comes in handy at mealtimes. A pair of large incisors jutting out from their lower jaw help slice through vegetation. From South America to the great southern land, kangaroos have truly come a long way. Some members of the animal kingdom choose to go it alone, but not the kangaroo. They are highly social creatures. Depending on the species, a mob can range from just a few roos to 20 or so. When food is abundant, mob numbers can swell into the hundreds, even thousands. With eastern greys, a mob is comprised of females and their young, plus a few mature males. Only the alpha male, the boomer, has breeding rights. As females are able to produce year-round, the boomer is kept busy, watching over the does to see if they are in season, and keeping the other males in the mob at bay, asserting his dominance and rising to any challenge. Should any of them dare to test the boomer, he has a few ways to keep them in their place. His first power play can be to stand upright and intimidate through sheer size. Alphas sometimes pull at clumps of grass or rub their chest on the ground, perhaps spreading their scent as a warning. And, when all else fails, a fight will erupt between the rivals. These are usually short affairs, with the two competitors locking their arms together, then pushing and kicking until one is knocked down or surrenders. Nose touching and sniffing is a common form of greeting between males and females. Smell cues are absorbed, their subtle messages clearly understood. Joeys and their mothers often share tender moments. Babies nuzzling at their mother's pouch. Not always for a drink, sometimes purely for reassurance. Until they are truly confident in the outside world, Joeys will often escape into the warm, familiar confines of their pouch. Like many young animals, Joeys can't resist a good play fight, tussling amongst themselves, and sometimes the cheekier ones take on their mums. As a family, marsupials stand apart from other mammals, thanks to the way the females raise their young, inside a pouch. Marsupials come into the world after short pregnancies. In kangaroos, the average gestation period is about a month. Inside the pouch, the joey latches on to one of the 4 teats on offer, fueling its ongoing development with the doe's milk. Starting out at roughly the size of a jelly bean, weighing just 1 gram, the joey quickly grows, the fat content of the mother's milk increasing to match the rising energy requirements of the developing youngster. Eastern grey joeys start to take short excursions from their furry bedrooms at the 9-month mark. Eight weeks later, they're out for good, but continue to enjoy a suckle. Some do attempt to move back home, but a pouch can only stretch so far. By the time an eastern grey is 18 months old, it is weaned and fully independent. In comparison, red joeys emerge from the pouch when they're 8 months old. These youngsters then stay at foot, nursing from their mother for another 3 or 4 months. Tree kangaroos keep their joeys close for the longest period, giving them time to develop and find their feet before a life in the canopy. Food-wise, joeys can sample their first solids while in the pouch. As their mother grazes, they can lean out and taste test any shoots they can reach. As for the furry front door that is the pouch, the key is held by the doe. By squeezing or relaxing muscles at the entry, she is in control of her joey's movements in and out. Should the need arise for a fast getaway, the joey is kept safely inside thanks to this strong pouch muscle. When conditions are good, kangaroos can breed year-round, with summer often seeing a peak in births. Females can also have 3 youngsters at the same time, one out of the pouch, another developing inside, with a third embryo in a special pause mode in the womb, where it waits until the pouch is vacated. The multitasking doesn't stop there. While this is happening, she is also manufacturing 2 types of milk, one suitable for the newborn and another mixture perfect for the older siblings' needs. Young female kangaroos tend to reach sexual maturity earlier than males. Red does only need to be 18 months to 2 years of age to start raising their own joeys, while the males have to wait at least another year before they can start to try. In reality, red bucks aren't really up to the challenge until they're 7. While young kangaroos are often seen play fighting against their siblings with their paws, as the boys develop, things get serious. Their paws aren't the only appendage that can pack a punch. Their namesake long feet and large toes can deliver some powerful kicks. All this is preparation for that time in the future when a roo can challenge for alpha status and the ability to pass their strong, healthy genes onto the next generation. Fully grown roos have few native enemies. Dingoes are opportunistic hunters and will take joeys or smaller roos given a chance. The size of an adult and the size of the mob is usually deterrent enough against them. Eagles might take an unlucky joey caught outside its mother's pouch. Life expectancy of an eastern grey kangaroo is estimated at 6 to 10 years. Comparatively, reds can enjoy lifespans of 20 years or longer. In the macropod world, longevity does not discriminate when it comes to size. For instance, pint-sized quokkas can enjoy life to the full for up to a decade. Kangaroos are not nocturnal, but crepuscular, which means they are most active at dusk and dawn. While not territorial, they do have home ranges. In their search for food, eastern greys only tend to roam about 20 hectares. In comparison, western greys travel 5 times that to meet their needs. Living in drier, sparsely vegetated regions, reds bound even further afield, scouring 7 times the area that greys need to fill their bellies. These adaptable creatures pay their dues by playing a vital role in the ecosystem. As part of the food chain, kangaroos are primary consumers, herbivores that feed on various forms of vegetation. They, in turn, provide food for secondary consumers, carnivores plus scavengers and decomposers. Thanks to their dietary habits, kangaroos are like gardeners. Their constant nibbling promotes the regeneration of native flora. This is when that prominent pair of incisors comes in handy, helping them reap in their daily harvest of greens. These bush vegetarians also assist with natural fire management. By consuming vegetation in grasslands and forests, they actively lower potential fuel loads. Potoroos have a diverse diet including roots, tubers, fruits, herbs, grasses, insects, and fungi. Their eating habits play an important role in forest health through the distribution of fungi that assist trees in fixing nitrogen. While most macropods are grazers, some do opt for leaves and shrubs, enjoying a mainly folivorous or leafy diet. Some larger members of the family are, in fact, the pickiest. Dry grass is harder for eastern greys to digest. This means young, tender shoots are on their dietary radar. Their fussiness is rewarded by the fact that these baby greens are higher in protein. No matter what vegetation they choose, once the cutting teeth have done their job, large molars can get to work, grinding up tough fibers. Like other grazing animals, such as cattle and sheep, kangaroos have chambered stomachs. The first chamber, or foregut, uses a high concentration of microorganisms, such as bacteria and fungi, to help break down or ferment complex plant materials, like cellulose. Like cattle, kangaroos can often be seen chewing their cud. This second pass mechanically aids the digestion process. During times of drought, their natural water conservation skills do come into play, allowing roos to go for extended periods without drinking. Living in dry conditions, kangaroos obtain most of the moisture they need from their food. That doesn't mean they don't drink. No matter which roo or where they are found, one thing is certain. The outback wouldn't be the same without these magnificent creatures bounding gracefully across the plains. The word kangaroo is one known around the globe. And fans have the Gwaga-Yumutha people of the northeast coast of Australia to thank for it. Captain Cook, the British explorer, recording this snippet of their language in 1770 while his ship the Endeavour was undergoing repairs. What started as gongaroo has been anglicised to become kangaroo. Kangaroos are held in high regard by Indigenous people for cultural, spiritual, and social reasons. For some, they are a totem, an animal believed to be an ancestral relation, this special bond coming with responsibilities, such as the protection of these sacred creatures. The respect felt towards kangaroos has been recorded over time through art, dance, ceremonies, and traditional Dreamtime stories. While they continue to be a food source, kangaroos are seen as spiritual warriors and worthy opponents. Their high stature has continued into modern times, a red kangaroo taking pride of place on Australia's coat of arms, sharing it with the emu. As neither native animal can move backwards easily, they were chosen to symbolize progress, always moving forwards. Kangaroos can also be found on Australian currency, a mob of 5 bound across the tail side of the $1 coin. These humble native animals are also pop culture icons, featuring in books, cartoons, songs, films, and TV series. Sporting teams, from local through to international levels, proudly take on macropod names, hoping, aspiring to embody their natural agility and strength. Their affinity for boxing hasn't gone unnoticed either. Their fighting spirit decorating flags enthusiastically waved at an international sailing competition in the 80s. Kangaroos don't only fly along ground, but also in skies, and have been doing so since 1920. From rock paintings to rock star status, kangaroos are well and truly embedded in the hearts and minds of animal lovers worldwide. In a region that boasts a multitude of unique wildlife, kangaroos are one of the most prominent, not only because of their good looks, athletic prowess, and engaging behaviors, but also due to their abundance. Of the great kangaroo species, the eastern grey leads the tally, with more than 21 million in their ranks. Great news from a conservation standpoint. None of the 4 large roos are considered endangered. The story is different, however, for their smaller relatives, with higher than 50% listed as threatened. Dingoes are the only native predator, but the natural balance of predation has been swamped by introduced species that have devastated populations. Feral cats are the greatest danger, with more than 2 million of them covering 99.8% of the country. The continued spread of humankind has also destroyed thousands of acres of native habitat. Land clearing has reached staggering totals, 395,000 hectares in 1 year. As the driest continent on the planet, even the slightest change in climate can be disastrous. As difficult as the future may seem, there are some positives that are helping populations rebound. A few lucky macropods have their habitats to thank for giving them refuge. While quokka numbers have suffered major declines on the mainland, isolated populations exist on 2 islands where they occur in relatively abundant numbers. These natural sanctuaries are giving these charming petite wallabies a fighting chance. Where habitats are protected, the macropods that call them home also flourish. Living in the wet tropics World Heritage Area means the only 2 tree kangaroo species in Australia are safe and sound, their populations being considered stable. In a conservation success story, the Tamar wallaby has been brought back from extinction on mainland Australia. Introduced to a small island off the north of New Zealand in the 1860s as part of a private zoo, the animals became so abundant they were considered a pest. Meanwhile, the native population in Australia had been wiped out through hunting and habitat loss. The solution for both countries was obvious: In 2003, tamars were successfully reintroduced in the wild to their original homelands in South Australia. With continued efforts by conservationists, captive breeding programs, and a government-funded cull of feral cats begun in 2017, the future of many lesser-known macropods will hopefully be brighter. The wider world may have only been aware of kangaroos for a few hundred years, but in that relatively short time, these unusual marsupials have become firm favourites.